not causing pain, it's not causing discomfort. Muscular pain, okay, but joint pain is not good. So I'm just going to mute all. Here we go, close. Right. So setting yourself in a comfortable position. If you're working from a seated position, trying to sit as tall as possible, really trying to create space at the front of the belly, making sure that I'm allowing a nice easy breath through. If you're lying down on the back, keeping the legs straight or bent, whichever way works better for your hips, for the legs, and for your lower back. Allowing the arms to come down the side, turning the palms to face up and towards the ceiling, encouraging the shoulders to roll out to the front of the chest, to open up, the collarbones to spread a little bit wider. Using a little pillow behind the head if you feel that you need a little raise, a little support behind the head. And then maintaining that nice relaxed position. Notice the body and notice the breath. Do I feel straight? Do I feel wonky? Do I feel more pressure on the right hip than the left, on the right shoulder than the right and then the left? I'm not trying to change anything, just noticing where the body is and how the body feels. And then focus on the breath, making sure that you're breathing into the abdomen. So it's a nice, relaxed belly breath. It's a nice diaphragmatic breathing. You're not breathing into the chest. So I'm not breathing apically. It's not my collarbone stiffening. It's not my intercostal muscle pulling. It's not my neck tensing. The top of the chest is calm, is relaxed, is soft. It's just the abdomen that is expanding with the breath. I can feel it rising with the inhalation and falling with the exhalation. I'm not forcing it. I'm just let it happen through. And then as I feel that the breath is a little bit more settled, I can feel the body's a little bit more relaxed. Then I'm going to start focusing on the shoulder first. I'm going to start raising the right arm up. And then I'm going to reach behind as far back as I can. Then I'm going to ease the right back by the side. And then with the left, I'm going to do the same. So just exploring the range in the right and into the left shoulder joint. If I'm seated, it's a little bit harder, as from the seated position, the arms tends to be heavier. If I'm lying down, the shoulders are resting on the mat, the arm feels a bit easier to move. Just making sure that no matter if you're seated or lying down, as the arm moves, you can feel the arm moving into the shoulder socket. The back is not arching, the neck is not stiffening, the shoulder is not shrugging, so I don't suddenly feel my shoulder moving closer to my head, closer to my ear. The shoulder is down, it's just the arm that is moving into the shoulder socket. And then you might notice that there is a bit different. So with my right arm, I feel that the movement feels smoother, better. The left might feel a little bit stiffer, stickier, a bit of a gritty feel to it. Just making sure that no matter what, I'm not forcing the movement. I'm not creating that grinding, that pinching that might then cause a pain to the joint. As you feel the movement starts getting a little bit easier, starts feeling a little bit looser, then I'm going to change the direction. So instead of going for a front raise, this time I'm going to come out into a lateral raise. So I'm going to swing the arm around to the side and bring it up and towards the head. And then swing it back in reverse. I'm going to do the same thing to the left side. So round the side to lift and then coming back. As you change the angle, the arm is moving into the shoulder socket. Again, you might find that the shoulders start clicking a bit, start pinching a bit. Play with the position of the hand as well as the movement of the arm. Changing the hand, bring it to palm forward or palm in, it also changes slightly the way the top of the arm inserts into the shoulder socket. So I might find that if I keep my palm turned to face forward, the movement feels smoother. If I turn the palm to face in, I feel that it's a bit restricted, or vice versa. So just playing with the right to feel the left, to see if you can find a nice smooth movement on the right and a nice smooth movement to the left. One more time on each side, just scooping the arm around the side and coming back, scooping the other arm around the side, and then releasing it back. Relaxing the shoulders, releasing the arms. There's a little bit more movement into the shoulder joint. I'm going to start getting the shoulder girdle this time involved. So think of your shoulder blades. I'm going to start to shrugging them up to the head. So I'm going to pull the shoulders up to my ears, and then I'm going to press them down and away. I'm going to shrug them up to my ears and then press them down and away. So picture your shoulder blades are sliding up and down the back of the rib cage, as if somebody had their hands on my shoulder blades and then was just trying to drag them along, pulling them down and then pushing them up. As the shoulders shrug, I can feel the neck is stiffening, I can feel the neck shortening and tightening. As the shoulders press down, as they depress, I can feel the neck lengthening, I can feel the back muscles activating a little bit more. Same as you did for the arms movement. Notice any difference between the right and the left side. I might find that it feels as if my right shoulder is dropping a lot, my left is still a bit stuck, or again vice versa, the left seems to be moving really well, the right feels really sticky. Always focus on the restricted, on the sticky, on the stiffer side. See if I can try and maybe find a better movement, a better range, or with just a little bit more focus on that side. See if I can try and encourage a little bit of an easier movement in that direction. 3, 2, 1. And releasing back, adjusting the shoulders. It's a little bit more movement up and down. This time what I want is a little bit more movement to forward and back. If you're lying down, you'll be a bit restricted on retracting the shoulders or protracting the shoulders, but you can really retract them. If I'm sitting up, I've got a little bit more range of front to back. So I'm going to retract the shoulders. I'm going to try and squeeze my shoulder blades together at the back. See if I can really encourage a nice opening across the front of the chest. And then protracting, I'm going to pull them forward. See if I can picture the middle of the back opening up. So I'm going to retract, I'm going to squeeze them together, and then protract, I'm going to open them out and apart. So this time, picture your shoulder blades moving from the center of the spine towards the side of the rib cage. So I'm going to try and slide them in and out along the side, along the back of the rib cage. And then exactly the same as I did for elevation, depression, noticing the movement. Is it the same right and left side? Does one side that feels different? Does the movement feels different on one side? Does the stretch feels different on one side? 3, 2, last one, and releasing back, giving the shoulders a little bit of a roll, releasing the back of the shoulders. There's a little bit more movement into the shoulder girdle. I'm going to start getting the back a little bit more involved too. So if I'm seated up or if I'm lying down, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to raise the arms to the front, clasping the hands together or keeping the hands apart. And then I'm going to start going into a little rotation. So I'm going to swing the arms over to the right. I'm going to rotate to the right, coming back to the center, and then rotating to the left. So if you're lying down, movement again is a little bit more restricted, as the floor is not going to let me go very far. If I'm sitting up, I've got a little bit more room to turn from side to side. Again, I'm not forcing anything. Just notice, especially if you're seated up, Make sure that as you're turning to the right, as you're turning to the left, it doesn't feel as if your shoulders are shrugging up to your ear, shrugging up to your head. So can I keep the shoulders deep rested? Can I keep them down and away from the head? Can I keep a nice long neck, a nice long back? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And releasing back, releasing the arms again, giving the shoulders a little bit of a roll. From rotation, I'm going to go into a little extension, flexion extension. So similar to what you did before, I'm going to retract the shoulders, but this time I'm going to exaggerate the movement. As I squeeze the shoulder blades together, I'm going to push the chest up to the front, so to the ceiling if I'm lying down, to the front of the room. If I'm seated up, I'm going to try and extend my way through, lifting through the top of the rib cage, lengthening through the breastbone, and then flexing. I'm going to squeeze the shoulders at the front. If you want, as you're lying down, you can lift the head off the ground to see if you can try and tuck yourself into a tight little ball, and then I'm going to open up. I'm going to send the rib cage up and towards the ceiling, open up and lift across the front of the chest, and then I'm going to round everything up. So think of a nice exaggerated movement as if you can really feel the upper back, your thoracic spine moving. A nice extension through the back as I'm opening, and then a nice flexion as I'm closing everything out. 5, 4, 3, 2, last one. And releasing back, allowing the shoulders, allowing the back a little bit of a rest. And then from flexion extension, I'm going to move a little lateral flexion. If you're lying down on the back, you might want to support the head. So with my left hand, I'm going to support the head. With the right arm, I'm going to reach down the side. I'm going to flex to the right. As if with my right arm, I was trying to reach towards the right foot. Then I'm going to come back to the middle with the left hand towards the left foot. If I'm seated up, or seated on the chair, or seated on the floor, I'm just going to get the same flexion from side to side. So imagine your back to be against the wall. Can I try and ease myself down one way? Can I try and ease myself down the other? Again, picturing the movement happening at the top of the spine. So think of the back changing the shape, flexing to the right, and then changing the shape, flexing to the left. Again, notice the movement, especially if you're seated. The tendency is to start to leaning forward, so coming forward into a forward flexion. So see if I can be aware. Picture that wall behind you. Can I keep my head and my shoulders on the wall and then flex it to one side? Can I keep my head and my shoulders on the wall and then flex the other way? 4. So one side and the other. 3. 2. Last time. And releasing back. Releasing the back is a little bit more movement through the thoracic. We're going to start coming down into that lumbar. So working into the lower back. Starting off with a little pelvic tilt. So seated or lying, I'm going to try and focus the movement into the lower back this time. So I'm going to tilt the pelvis back, pressing the lower back down towards the ground if I'm lying down. Trying to scoop the belly in, scoop the belly down, and then I'm going to return back into neutral. So I'm going to rock back, imprint in the lower back, and then coming forward back into neutral again. So think of a nice, gentle rocking. If I'm seated up, exactly the same in my seated position. I'm just going to try and round myself back, rolling back onto the tailbone slightly, and then lifting up, coming up onto the seat bones. So tilting and releasing the tilt. So see if I can, just gently, absolutely minimum effort involved, trying to loosen up the tension of the stiffness from the very bottom of the spine. So especially if I know that the lower back tends to be quite locked, it tends to be quite stiff, see if I can try and gently ease off some of the stiffness, some of the tension, see if I can try and encourage a little bit more movement down there. So it's a little tilt back and then coming forward again. And then if I feel that the back is moving a little bit better, the movement feels a little bit easier, a little bit looser, then I might start going a little bit deeper. The same is for everything else, so making sure that I'm not forcing, so I'm not causing myself pain. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back, resetting the back in neutral again, hip bones and pubic bone back to level, knees bent, feet on the floor if I'm lying down. And then I'm going to try and work a little bit more into the lower back, but this time instead of flexion extension, I'm going to go back into a little rotation. So if you're lying down, shuffling the feet and the knees nice and close together, opening the arms out to the side, turning the palms to face up and towards the ceiling. And then I'm going to start turning into a little hip roll. So I'm going to rotate the hips to the side, trying to turn the hips to face, I don't know, the right, the shoulders are staying on the ground. Then I'm going to ease the legs back to the center, and then rotating the hips to the left, taking the hips over to the other side, and then back to the middle again. So think of the same rotation that you practiced with the arms earlier. Instead of swinging the upper body, this time I'm holding the upper body still and then moving from the hips and moving from the legs. So massaging gently across to the back of the hips, across to the back of the pelvis. If you're seated up, you're limited as your seat bones are obviously sitting on the floor, sitting on the chair. So the best thing is trying to use the arms. I'm just going to pull the arm across, set that hand across to the leg, and then pushing the legs over to one side to see if I can create a gentle twist at the bottom, easing back, and then pulling across to the other way, gentle twist to the other way. So still encouraging some movement as much as my position will allow me to do so. If you're on the back and you feel that the nice side to side roll is working fine, I feel that I can progress it, then you might want to try the same movement but with the feet off the ground. So if I can, I might just lift the feet off the floor and then rocking the legs gently from one side over to the other. So choosing the option that suits you better. I might find that the legs are too heavy or they don't want to stay up, in which case I'm just going to keep the feet down and then turning the hips, turning the legs, turning the hips, turning the legs the other way. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, last time, and releasing back, resetting the hips back to the middle, adjusting the hips, adjusting the legs. There's a little bit more movement down into the lower back too. This time I'm going to bring the focus into the hip, into the leg. So what I want is to warm up into the hip joint first. So I'm going to lift the right leg up and then holding it there, if I can hold it there, using the hands to support it, or using the band around the back of the leg to support it if I needed to. I'm going to start circling the leg around. So imagine a little pencil strapped to the top of the knee. I'm going to start drawing little circles with that pencil in front of me. So turning the leg gently into the hip socket. It's nice and loose and nice and relaxed the movement. So imagine your pelvis to be like a bowl and then the leg to be like the spoon. I'm trying to turn the spoon into the bowl. See if I can warm up the hip joint, avoiding grinding, pinching or catching. If I'm sitting up, I'm just going to grab a hold of the leg, and then the best way I can, I'm going to try and see if I can create movement into the hip joint. So bring the leg round and up, round and up. Reversing the circles, I'm going to go round the other way for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing down, relaxing the hip, releasing the leg. I'm going to try exactly the same thing with the left side. So switching the band around the left leg, if you need the band, using the hands or just using the strength of the hip if I can, and then I'm going to start going into that circle. So creating that nice and smooth movement on this side. Noticing again any difference between this leg and the other. I might find this feels a bit stiff, feels a bit heavier, is clicking a bit, is grinding a bit. Just keeping the movement small. See if I can think of minimum effort again to move the leg into the hip socket, to see if I can really try to relax the leg, let the leg drop into the hip socket, so that I can turn it around easier. Reversing the circle, going the other way. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing down. Extending the legs away, giving the legs a little bit of a shake, giving the legs a little bit of a walk, making sure that the hip doesn't feel too stiff, too tight. So a little bit more movement into the hip joint. I'm going to change the effort. Instead of working in flexion, I'm going to work in extension. So if you're lying down, I want to extend the legs away along the floor. So nice, long, straight legs. If you're seated up, obviously the legs are going to stay the same. And then what I want is the fine connection to the back of the bum. So trying to get the glutes to fire to get going. So I'm going to go into a little gluteal squeeze. So I'm going to try and clench my right bum cheek and then relax it. Clench the left bum cheek and relax it. Clench the right, relax. Clench the left and relax. As I'm doing the clenching, noticing what's happening. As I clench the bum cheek, as the muscle tenses underneath, it pushes the hip up. So the pelvis is almost like a gently rocking from side to side if I'm lying down on the back. If I'm seated up, it almost feels as if I'm bouncing from one side over to the other. So tensing one, tense in the other, tense in one, tense in the other. And then you might find that you can clench one, but you can't really feel or find the other. You might find that I can't clench one at a time. I seems to be either clenching both or I can't do anything. If that's the case, do clench them both. Just try to get both going at the same time. But try to gradually see if you can isolate. So can I try and clench the right and then clench the left? Or can I create a little bit more tension on one side and then on the other? Once that you feel that you've got a little bit more connection, so I can feel the right side, I can feel the left side better. See if you can start clenching both together. So I'm going to squeeze them both and then relax. So squeeze them both and then relax. So again, if I'm sitting on the chair, it feels as if I'm bouncing up and down from the chair. If I'm lying down on the mat, I can feel my hips are moving up and down together. So see if I can really try to create that activation. If you feel that you can progress the tension, so I feel, yes, I can feel the bum is working now. Both sides seems to be working pretty evenly. I want to do a little bit more. As you're clenching, especially if you're lying down on the back, see if you can clench and lift. So I'm aiming for the bum to lift off the ground, just a fraction, just an inch, and then I'm going to drop back. So I'm going to squeeze and then trying to create a little lift and then coming back. So see if I can try and bring the tension from the back of the bum into the back of the legs, all the way down towards the heel of the feet, towards the back of the feet. So I'm going to clench and lift and then drop. Clench and lift and then drop. And then I might be able to create a little lift. I might not be able to create that lift. Again, it doesn't matter. I'm trying. 5, 4, 3, 2, last one. And releasing back, bending the knees if you're lying down, hugging the knees to the chest, giving the back of the hips or the back of the bum a nice stretch, rocking the legs forward and back a few times. If you're seated up, you can try with a little hugging on one knee, and then I'm just going to try and hug the other, so releasing any tension from the back of the hip, the back of the bum. So I feel that I've got a little bit more movement into the hip socket, but also a little bit more connection front and back. I'm going to try and see if I can add a little to the side. So dropping the feet back down onto the mat, keeping the knees bent. I'm going to shuffle the feet and the knees nice and close together. Focusing on the side of the hip or the side of the leg, I'm going to start going into a little knee drop. I'm going to start opening the right knee out to the right, as far to the right as I can, and then I'm going to squeeze it back to the center. Then again, I'm going to repeat on the same side. I'm going to open the right knee out to the right, and then squeezing it back to center, and then trying again. Same as usual, if the leg feels a bit stiffer, or I feel that I can't feel the leg very well, using the arms to help. So I'm going to use my hand to help me push the leg out to the side, and then using the hand to help me pull it back to the middle. I'm going to use the hand to push it out, and then I'm going to use it to help me pull it back to the middle. So assisting the leg in whichever direction you need to, assisting the movement to encourage a little bit of a better movement into the hip. Especially if you're lying down on the back, see if you can try and be aware of the movement happening again in the hip joint. So I can feel the inner thigh supporting the leg as it goes down, and then pulling it back in again. The side of the hip encouraging a little squeeze to pull it out, and the inside of the leg pulling it back in again. The hips should be nice and level. Imagine a tennis ball balancing in the center of the belly. Can you keep that tennis ball in the center of the belly? Can you make sure that it doesn't roll off to the right? 2 more times. So opening and closing, opening and closing back. Relaxing the leg, releasing the hip. There's a little bit more control over that right side. I'm going to repeat the same on the left. So keeping the knees bent or extending the right leg away if you want to. I'm going to move that left leg this time. So opening the left leg out to the left. Again, as far to the left as I feel that I can control the leg. And then closing it back to the center again. And then same as I did on the other side. It's not the size of the movement. So it doesn't matter if the movement is very small, but see if I can be aware of the control. So I can feel the inner thigh and the side of the hip working together like a little set of complementary pulleys that are working the leg out and then pulling it back into position, pulling it back in place. Same as before, if I'm lying down, picture the tennis ball into the center of the belly. Can I make sure there's just the leg that is moving to the side? The pelvis is not twisting in that direction. The hips are not rotating in that direction. The hips are staying nice and still. So opening and closing. And then this side might fatigue a lot quicker. I might need a bit of a rest. This side might find that it moves a lot better. I've got a better control. I don't need to use my hands to support that leg or to help me move that leg. 3 more. Opening, closing. 2. Nice strong connection through the center. Last one. And releasing back. Releasing the hip, releasing the leg again, giving the legs a little walk, a little shake if you need to. And then I'm going to work back into the front of the hip. But this time I'm going to add a little load. So what I want is this time for the leg to come up into a knee lift. So keeping the knees bent, the back is in neutral, stronger connection through the belly, through the center, focusing on your right leg only. I'm going to start closing the right hip. So I'm going to try and lift the right foot off the ground. I'm going to bring the right leg up as high as I can. And then I'm going to ease that foot back down onto the mat. Then again, I'm going to lift it up into tabletop or as close to that point as I can. And then I'm just going to ease it back down again. If you're sitting up, exactly the same thing. See if I can encourage the foot to pull away from the ground. So this time, think of the effort to being at the front of the hip and on the right side of the belly. The right side of the belly is helping me to stabilize the lift. So making sure that the weight of the leg doesn't pull on my pelvis, it doesn't arch my back, it doesn't create pressure on the back. And then the front of the hip is creating that little hip flexion that is allowing the leg to come up into the lift and then is controlling it back down. And then just noticing what's harder. I might find that it's quite easy to lift that leg, but then I lose control lowering, I drop it down very quickly. I might find that it's the reverse. I find it's really hard to lift it, but then I can control it coming down. So if you can think of an even speed to lift and lower the legs. So controlling up and controlling back down. I'm going to try 2 more times on this side. And back. And then last one. And releasing down. Allowing the hip to open, allowing the leg to relax. I'm going to repeat exactly the same thing on the left side. So keeping both knees bent or just to the left. Focusing on that left side. Connecting through the center. I'm going to lift that left leg up. And then I'm going to pop it back down. So same as I did on the right side. It doesn't matter if I can't lift it very high, just to see if I can picture the connection or that tension at the front of the hip. So I want the front of the hip to tense and close, allowing the leg to lift, and then I'm going to control it back down. I can feel that left side of the belly helping me to stabilize the lift. So the weight of the leg is not suddenly pulling on my back, it's not creating pressure, it's not creating strain into the lower back. And then this leg feels heavier, this leg feels lighter, it's fatiguing a lot quicker, I can move it a lot better so I can go for longer. If I need the rest, I'm going to take the rest. If I can keep it moving, I'm going to keep it moving. 5, 4, 3, 2, last one, and releasing back, relaxing the hips and releasing the legs. So it's a little bit of a better connection through the hip flexors into the front of the hip. So I'm going to go back into loading, but this time I want to load the back of the bum. So I'm going to set up into bridge. So instead of having the legs extended away this time, I'm going to bend the knees and walk the feet towards the hips. Adjusting the distance between the feet to what feels comfortable to you, and then pushing down through the soles of the feet, the same as you practiced before. Give me a nice good squeeze coming from the back of the bum. I want the hips to lift away from the ground, so I'm going to bridge my way up. It could be just the hips, it could be the hips at the back of the rib cage until I'm resting onto the back of the shoulder if I'm lying down. If I'm seated up, imagine the action to lift off the chair. So I'm going to squeeze with the bum, push down through the feet, and then I'm going to try and squeeze up as if I was trying to lift off the chair. And then I'm just going to ease back down. So it doesn't matter if I can't actually physically lift, but see if you can think of the action. So as I'm lying down on my back, same as I did with a straight leg, I might just be able to get the bum slightly off the floor. I might be able to lift higher. I might be able to go all the way up into the back of the shoulder. It's whatever feels comfortable. I'm not driving with the back, so I'm not stiffening through the back. I'm trying to keep the effort into the hips, into the legs. So feeling the front of the hips are gradually opening up, your thighs reaching out of the hip socket as if somebody was grabbing hold of your thighs and pulling them forward. And then I'm just going to ease my way back down. So maintaining the connection between the right and the left side of the bum. See if I can really encourage that load, see if I can really encourage that lift. 4, squeezing it up, dropping back. 3, 2, last one, and releasing back, releasing the hips, releasing the legs. It's a little bit more connection through the back of the hips, the back of the bum. I'm going to change the effort one last time. I want a little bit more load, but this time working through the inner thigh. So instead of working a single leg into a single knee drop, I'm going to go into a little pillow squeeze. So grab hold of your pillow, your towel, your ball, if you've got one of the Pilates ball, and then pop the pillow between the knees. Shuffling the feet nice and close together. And then it doesn't matter if I'm seated or lying down. The focus is on the pillow. I'm going to try and squash it as hard as I can, and then I'm going to ease that pressure. I'm going to squeeze as hard as I can, and then ease that pressure. So noticing that strong tension through the inner thighs, but also wrapping around the side of the hip, the side of the bum. And then I'm going to ease that pressure. Notice difference between the right and the left side. Is my right leg working as much as my left? Is my left working as much as my right? So squeezing and easing the pressure back. Noticing any tension coming up into the upper body. I can feel myself clenching the teeth. I can feel my neck stiffening. See if you can allow the neck to relax. See if you can allow the jaw to relax. So all the effort is down into the legs. 5, 4, 3, 2, last squeeze, hold the tension. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Pushing the pillow out of the way, pushing the ball off to the side, keeping the soles of the feet together, allowing the knees to open out to the side. So encouraging a passive stretch through the inner thighs, the hip and the groin. If you're seated up, obviously gravity is not working with you, so I'll have to use my hands to help me. So I'm just going to push the legs out and away, see if I can get that gentle opening through the inner thighs. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and easing back. Releasing the hips, releasing the legs, grabbing hold of your towel, your band, your belt, whichever one you've got. And then we're going to give a little stretch into the back of the leg too. So I'm going to put the band around the right foot. Once the band is well hooked around the foot, I'm going to straighten out the leg. And then I'm going to gently start pulling the leg up in towards me until I can feel a gentle traction going down the back of the leg and into the back of the knee. If you're seated and I can't really get the band around the foot, if my foot doesn't lift, it doesn't go there, what I can do is same as usual, straighten out the leg slightly, and then I'm just going to lean forward until I can feel a little traction into the back of the leg. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and easing back. Releasing the tension from the band, releasing the leg. I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. So the band goes around the left foot. If I'm using the band, I'm going to straighten up the leg and then I'm just going to gently pull it up and see if I can create that traction that from the seat bone, from the back of the bum, comes up through the hamstrings into the back of the leg, back of the knee, possibly all the way into the back of the calf. Leaning forward on a straightish leg. If I'm seated up, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back. Releasing the tension from the band, releasing the hips, releasing the legs. When you're ready, rolling over onto one side and in your own time, pushing yourself up into sitting. Finding a comfortable seated position, making sure that you're able to lift, to straighten yourself up. So setting the legs wherever it's easier, wherever is better for you. Using the arms by the side if you feel that you need a little support. And then from there, I'm going to try and extend my way up. So sending the chest, sending the breastbone up and towards the ceiling. I'm going to roll the shoulders back, looking forward, looking up, looking back, extending and lifting through. Then I'm going to release, so coming forward, letting the chin drop down to the chest, so the shoulders come forward, and then I'm going to roll down. See if I can create a nice gentle stretch going all the way down into the lower back. Then again, I'm going to extend my way up, looking forward, looking up, looking back, opening up and lifting the front of the body. And then I'm going to release my way down, letting the chin drop, the shoulders come forward, rolling down, dropping down. One last time, extending your way up, sending the breastbone up and towards the ceiling, lifting up as high as you can. And then this time on the way down, allowing the chin to drop down to the chest. One hand to the belly, one hand to the back. Take a bow, give yourself a clap, well done. Any question or anything, please say. Remember, you need to unmute yourself.